So I learned how to fly fish when I was 13. My dad just started taking me along. I took to it immediately. Everything about it. It's just being outside, and it's being in the elements and everything else that kind of comes with that. Fly fishing is a sport, a religion, whatever you want to call it, whatever it is to you. It is something that puts you so in tune with the natural world and the natural rhythms. For me, that is so much a part of it, as I feel very connected.
I read a line recently that stuck with me. Slow down and you'll see a lot more. If you think about it, it's a simple thing, really. Slow down, look around you, and take it all in. The whole idea of Reframe is to tell the stories of those people we find that are living a bit differently, maybe a bit more intentionally. People who are beating their own path through the woods. It's our hope that along the way we'll remind people and ourselves that life is vast, and there are all kinds of ways to travel through it. This is Emily Roley, out here, alone, in the middle of a river in New Mexico. This is where she spends most of her time. This is where she slows down. For the last couple of years, life for Emily has sounded like a river, cutting through the high desert, the sound of her fly line slicing the air. Not that long ago, though, when I first met Emily, she was moving much, much faster.
So I was living in Nashville, and I was managing a restaurant full-time. So I had been working in restaurants for about 15 years. I wasn't in love with it. I wasn't loving it. And I had no desire to own my own restaurant or go any further in the business. So leading up to the decision to leave Nashville, there was a lot of stuff that happened kind of in the meantime. The first of which was realizing that I was living in a house with a lot of stuff, and it felt like I was working to maintain my stuff. And I didn't like that feeling, and I just had this deep longing to shed as much stuff as possible and to see what it would be like to pare down, just peeling away and peeling away and peeling away to the essence, to the core of what it meant just to live day to day, and focusing more on my experience of living as opposed to the acquiring that happens when you're living.
The first thing Emily decided to do was move out of her house and center her life around being outside as much as possible. I actually remember this because my wife and I rented her house from her when I got wind she was going to move into a trailer. Not just any trailer, the tiniest pull-behind camper I've ever seen.
You know, the camper is 13 feet long, and it's 87 square feet, and it was me and my 2 dogs, and we lived in that camper a full year. I set up a big tent outside, and I had a hammock and did everything I could outside.
Soon after, Emily took a fly fishing trip with 2 of her closest friends to Lee's Ferry in Arizona to fish the waters of the Colorado River. It was there that she says she decided what she wanted to do. It came, as inspiration often does, in a moment of silence.
We're the last boat on the river. And these are power boats, motorboats that you have to kind of take up, and so there's the noise of the boats kind of running up all day. And we're the last boat on the river, and she cuts the engine, and so it goes dead silent. And the pace of the river is just really slow and kind of meandering where we are. And in that silence, and all of us just got real quiet. And then there was this deep stillness that hit me. It was that moment. It was that moment that switched things around for me. She goes, "You should go become a fly fishing guide." And I was like, what? People just do that? Why not, right? Why not?
Emily wasted no time. She found an opportunity at a fly shop in Taos, New Mexico, and left behind her life in Nashville for a chance to live her new one out west. She knew it wouldn't be easy. She was right.
Taylor Strite, who is a local figure here in northern New Mexico, taught a guide school. And I was like, that's probably a good place to start. So I contacted him, and he wrote back almost immediately, and he told me not to do it. He said, do not leave your family and sell your house and, leave your good paying job and your hometown, and move out here into the middle of nowhere and try and be a fly fishing guide. He was very honest with me and told me it was going to be a very hard road. It's a competitive atmosphere, and it doesn't pay well, and it's a hard job. I, pull in into town, and I'm pulling my camper, and so I pull the camper up and park it and walk in the front door of the shop. And Ron is behind the counter. He was the first person that I actively met. And I remember thinking to myself, I walked in the door and I kind of was like, he's real cute.
Well, I think we were all really anticipating her arrival. We were all curious to see who this woman was, who was going to be coming out here and taking this leap of faith. And I think it takes a lot of courage and strength to do that. I think when she first came in, she had this long hair and, had this tattoo. But it seemed like all of this timing was kind of perfect with her coming in. And I was thinking about relocating and guiding somewhere else in central Colorado or Montana possibly, and with her arrival, everything just kind of clicked the way it did, and here we are on our property now.
Emily and Ron were married in 2017 and bought 6.5 acres outside Taos that bumps up against Carson National Forest, a massive protected wilderness area. In the spring, they'll break ground on their dream home. No more than a 500 square foot A-frame, Emily has assured me. Maybe a deck in the trees so they can see the mountains. Years after her big move, she still sees no need for excess to get in the way of her living her life.
There's always a point when the sound of the water becomes louder than my internal dialogue, and it just happens. And that's when I fully, just relax into the environment. And that's what kind of fills me back up, and that's why I love it. That's why I love to do it.
When we were planning this story, I emailed with Emily a few times, getting some details straight, and she would eventually write me back a few days later, which I'll admit made me really happy. I couldn't imagine her sifting through her inbox out here in the middle of nowhere. Once you get here, all that digital noise just seems like noise. The bottom of her emails contain an Emerson quote: "The creation of 1,000 forests is in one acorn." Meaning, the seed of an idea can lead to 1,000 new roads, 1,000 new chances, and 1,000 new days on earth, under the sun, outside, standing in a river, chasing stillness. And maybe a trout.